So I might be opening a huge can of worms here, but I just feel like telling this story because it's something that's been on my heart for a really long time, and I just had a experience that was like less triggering than it has been in the past, but that kind of was my clue to be like, okay, maybe the story like needs to be told. Maybe you need to work through this a little bit. Post it to the internet. Just like let it happen. I have this really long history with I'm like, do I say their name? Do I make it anonymous? What do I call this person? And then I'm also like racking my mind for when we were younger, like what I used to call him, or like what his like secret name was. Give me a second. Chuck. 111. Chuck. He was my best friend. My absolute best friend. The best friend I've ever had. Like my safety, my security, my confidant, the best communicator in the world. We were best friends. He wanted to date me as we got older, and looking back on it, I probably knew or understood. I think as a very young Scorpio rising, I didn't quite realize the magnitude of my magnetism. And I think that I used that to get things that I wanted. He used to bring me snacks. I loved snacks. And I would do like, I remember being like super cutesy and like excited, and I would want to hug him. And I think that I gave him this attention and this love because genuinely, like, I can say this for a fact, like I loved him. I did. It just wasn't in the way that he wanted reciprocated. Things got complicated as we got into our teens, and when it came out to the light that he loved me he loved me more than a friend, more than a best friend. He started dating my other best friend, and it's a whole complicated love story. But my two best friends, my boy best friend and my girl best friend, they started dating, and then they realized, or they decided to come to the conclusion that I was the problem, and everybody turned against me. Our entire friend group, they wanted to like protect these two, and they thought that Jess was like this mistress that was gonna break up their love affair. And that whole thing is a story for another day. But what happened today is I have seen Chuck like maybe 4 or 5 times in the past decade. And he won't look at me. He won't look at me. He won't look at me. He pretends that I'm not there. And he did this when we were younger. He didn't want to look at me in the eye. For, even when we were still, we're going through university and we would see each other a little bit more often. Like, he wouldn't look at me. He wouldn't look at me in the eye. He didn't want to have a conversation with me. And I've seen, and over the last couple of years, there's been a handful of times at the Western Fair Market that I've seen him, and he just looks down and doesn't look at me. Last time he like did a wave and looked down, And it had been bothering me. I'm like, I have not seen this man in a decade. Like, he's married. I'm married. I have a child. Like, there's a decade, but like, it's just everything that had happened in the past. And I just want to see how he's doing. I just want to know that he's happy. I want to know that he's healthy. I want to say hi. How's life been for you? You know? I'm not expecting anything, but it would just, I mean, maybe I am expecting a little bit. It would be really nice to be like, yo, like, life's crazy. We have this super emotionally charged past, but like, we're just humans navigating this world. I just want to know how you are. I just want to look in your eyes and say hello. You were my best friend. You were my best friend. And so much has happened, and there's a little bit of hurt. There's definitely a little bit of hurt, but I've done my best to just release that because there's nothing I can do. But he won't look at me. And that's always been a problem. I'm like, why won't you look at me? Why won't you look at me? I just want to be seen. 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 And like, that's like a really weird trigger that I had to like work through. It's like, why do I keep feeling this need to be seen? And it keeps getting triggered with him because he refuses to look at me. I'm reminded of the scene in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, maybe? Yeah, I think it was Half-Blood Prince. And like, Dumbledore just like refused to look Harry in the eye. Just like was refusing, and Harry was like, dude, like, what are you doing? Like, look at me. Like, there's so much shit happening. Like, why are you, like, what's going on? And then all of a sudden he just goes, look at me. And Dumbledore just looks him in the eye. And he's like, man, it's been so long. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I just look at me. Just notice me. And today at the market, once again, he was there, and for the first time, I refused to look at him. I saw him out of the corner of my eye, and my heart started racing, as it always does. Races, absolutely races. The past few times, I can admit that I was like, I'm gonna make him look at me. I'm gonna make him look at me. I'm gonna walk right over there in his view, and I'm gonna make him look at me. It never worked. He never actually did, or he was walking away, or he did the, But this time I was like, oh, I'm so done. I'm so done. Like, I'm not gonna look at him. So I just looked into my baby boy's eyes. He walked right on by. And that flutter in my heart went away real quick this time. Part of me thinks that because I'm putting my face out there and I'm allowing myself to be seen on a bigger scale, it's not triggering or impacting me as much. If he doesn't want anything to do with me, then that's on him. And I know that he must still be hurt, or maybe he just doesn't want to feel anything. Maybe he just doesn't want to be reminded of the past. Maybe, and that's okay. That's okay, and I have to be okay with that. I wrote out a note to him. It's funny. I was scrolling through my WhatsApp, and he came up as a contact, and I was like, I I think because it just links to your phone contacts, and he's been in my phone for the same phone number since I was 13. So it's been almost 20 years. So his number is still in my phone. And one day I was like, I'm just gonna send him a message. So I write out this note. And you know, he got married. He became an uncle. I basically was just like, hey, like, I hope you're okay. I wish you and your wife a lifetime of happiness. If you ever want to reconnect with me, I am open to that. And I hope you're well. And it was much more eloquent than that. But I went to go send it to him, and then his number was just not there anymore. And I was like, whoa, weird. So it like disappeared. I don't know if he got a new number or what happened, but clearly that was not meant to be. I was not meant to send that message. But it's still in my notes. So who knows? I think that's a practice that therapists and probably content creators tell people. They're like, you know, write a letter that you're never going to send. You know, you have something to say, to get it off your chest, just get it off your chest. It's about you. It's not about them. It doesn't matter if they can receive it. It's about you getting, you know, your words off your chest. It's healing for you. And it was. Because this time when faced with him, the heart racing reduced, and I said, you know what? I don't need to be seen by him. And that felt good. Being able to, you know, shine a light in that really dark place, because I've had a lot of processing to do with my friendships. These people that I thought were my friends, and they all just wanted to get rid of me. It's hard. It's really hard. It makes you think, what's wrong with you? What is it about your personality? What is it about you that they don't want in the room? It was so hard. I used to, you know, on like the bigger occasions, where like the larger once like our relationship really started to change and disperse, you know, I'd sometimes get invited to the larger gatherings, and they would just talk about getting together and watching movies and doing all these activities together, and they would just bring it up in front of me and just talk about all the events that they would do behind closed doors that I wasn't invited to. It was so hard to hear, and it almost felt like they were doing it on purpose. Like, if you throw a party, like, you know, and then you're out with another group of friends, are you like, oh my god, that party that I had was, you know, that we had was so good, and like these other people that you didn't invite to this party are just standing there being like, well, I don't have this shared experience, and like, I thought I was your friend, like, why was I not invited? Like, you know, it just, I don't know, man, just didn't feel nice. But this feels good to speak about. So Chuck, if you ever see this video, I don't even know what I would want to directly say to you, especially in this moment, but one day I hope you can look at me. One day I hope I can look at you, if that's meant to be in our future. If it's not, that's fine. I understand that door might be completely closed, but I do wish you well. Have a beautiful day. We'll see you tomorrow.